Chinese stocks are set for their biggest one-day loss in 2 months as price pressures continued to mount in the world's second-largest economy. Benchmarks in Shanghai and Hong Kong are down more than 1%. That's after China's Statistics Bureau said producer prices in October climbed 13.5%, the fastest rate in 26 years. Higher commodity prices and output curbs caused by a power shortage have led to higher costs for China's factories. Companies are also starting to pass on those expenses to their customers, and households are dealing with the effects of bad weather in some parts of the country. That's made food like vegetables, meat, and cooking oil more expensive. As a result, consumer prices rose faster than expected at 1.5%, the most in more than a year. Now, for more, let's go to Professor Guido Cozzi. He teaches macroeconomics at the University of St. Gallen in Switzerland. Welcome back to the program, Professor. Now, Chinese economic growth slowed in the third quarter to below 5%. And at the time, authorities said that they had the tools to kind of prop up the world's second largest economy. But how do these latest numbers affect their approach?
Yes, certainly it may question several tools because it is clearly a supply shock, what we call it in economics, macroeconomics, supply shocks. So on the production side, there are problems. The problems are that inputs are more expensive. Power, energy is very expensive at the moment. It increased massively. Also, materials and other important inputs are getting scarcer, also due to the trade restrictions related to COVID restrictions. So faced with a supply shock of this kind, it would be a mistake to activate aggregate demand, so to try to stimulate demand. Because faced with, I wouldn't say a reduction of production, but something similar, a lower increase of production compared to what was expected, governments can be tempted to increase aggregate demand by supporting, for example, public spending. But that would increase demand further. And since in economics, we know that when demand increases and supply drops, prices go up. Okay, so at the moment, there is also a tension, a distributive tension that may be related to the common prosperity slogan by Xi Jinping, because when production prices go up, if firms decide not to translate that into consumption prices, that will reduce profit for the firms. But as soon as they decide to translate it into higher consumption prices, as they are starting to do now, see, for example, food price, then the burden gets translated to the workers, and the workers see their real incomes drop, and they will ask for more wages. So social tension will start, and if higher wages feed into a higher input prices, so an additional source of input price increase, then this may lead to higher price and a wage price spiral that we have seen in the stagflation in the 70s, for example, and that we are fearing now in the US and in Europe, which are in a very similar condition as China. So China should be sensitive to the redistributive consequences. So shall entrepreneurs face reduced profits, or workers face reduced real wages? So in the common prosperity slogan that maybe now it's echoing in the rooms of the Communist Party committee, which is Communist Party Congress, which is taking place these days, may lead to interesting solutions. I think they have to be creative. If they don't want to have a wage price spiral setting, they must decide who has to pay these extra costs, or how to share among different social classes.
All right, a lot to think about for Chinese policymakers. Professor Guido Cozzi from the University of St. Gallen in Switzerland, thank you for your analysis.